Welcome back, folks. I'm shuffling the cards until Spirit tells me to stop, and then we'll listen to what Spirit has to say. All allegedly for entertainment purposes only, not a replacement for licensed professionals such as lawyers, medical professionals, therapists, that kind of thing, okay? Actually. Hope y'all are having a great day after Thanksgiving, if you celebrate. Okay. Spirit is asking that we take from the bottom first. This is an oracle card associated with this particular deck. I'm using the White Newman Tarot, and we have the White Newman card. This talks about the wonderful things that the universe has coming toward us with the speed of a quickly moving bull, if you will. This is kind of Taurus energy, and Taurus is associated with Venus, the planet Venus. So that's about diplomacy, comfort, enjoying the better things out of life. It's also about taking the best care of our bodies as possible, moving slowly to not too slowly, not being stubborn at all, but about appreciating the things that the earth gives us, appreciating the things that the universe gives us. This is a promise from the universe that good things will come to those who wait. We've got the Nine of Swords. Anxiety that that the universe has forgotten us, that we are left to struggle. We might be talking a little bit about the future and about those who are very distressed about what could be coming up when they see things get darker. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I have seen that things are going to get rough over the next several years, not just the next 4 years, and that we're going to need to stick together and watch out for the most vulnerable in our communities in order for us to get through this. It is possible to get through this. We are being asked, you don't want to see the back, do you? We are being asked to become different people, transform ourselves. This is a fish who is transformed into a human, is more of a mermaid at this particular point, but she's heading towards dry land, and presumably at that point she will not even have the rest of her fish body anymore. This is about feeling like quite literally a fish out of water. We might feel like we just don't belong. And Spirit, the universe is guiding us towards not being with people who no longer serve us. Keeping our peace is the best thing possible, and especially after Thanksgiving, that might have really riled up some feelings of this future that we've got coming up is very bleak, is very hopeless. And I understand why anyone would think that way. That is absolutely a reasonable way to think right now. This is why getting into physical communities, not just online communities, is really important for everybody at this point. The human mind has not adapted to communicating over the internet in the same way that the human mind has adapted over centuries, if not thousands upon thousands of years, with communicating with other people in person, sitting across the way from each other, standing next to each other and talking. Our brains haven't adapted to online communication yet, and I would argue that it shouldn't completely adapt to that while sacrificing the physical communities. We need each other. This is about mental energy being in a whirlwind and not being in control of the mind. The mind is very much in control. I cannot recommend a meditation routine hard enough. I really, really can't. I love using Insight Timer, the app. It's not a promotion. I'm not advertising for them at all. It's something that I genuinely find useful, and you can use it for free and get a lot of really cool stuff for free from the app, okay? Just a thought that may not work for you personally, but I do feel like you have a lot of anxiety about what could be coming down the line for a lot of folks. And the universe says, trust and flow with the universe. And it might be a bumpy road to get there, and that's when we need to allow the universe to still take over and trust it. On the bottom, we have justice, and it's in reverse. Okay? Sorry, I'm listening to people. We have justice. It is in reverse. It is going to look like, on the surface, that genuinely awful things are happening. And this card is indicating that very much, yes, that there are injustices being recorded. But that's something that you need to take, that I need, that we all need to take into consideration, is that injustices are being recorded. The universe is absolutely listening and watching everything that's happening here. And when things start to fall out of balance, that's recorded too. Balance must come back, and it might be painful. The universe is using the injustices that we will most likely face in the future to make things right, to bring blessings onto those who have earned them, who have faithfully tried to do their very, very best, tried to live up to their best and their highest good. There are rewards coming, and it might deeply distress you to see what's going on. That's not a bad thing. That tells me that you have an incredible moral compass. I'm not saying that it won't be difficult, though. Traditionally, justice, the sword, I'll show you, in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith and in the Tarot de Marseille, if I'm saying that correctly. Excuse me if I'm not, okay? The sword and the scales are just a little bit tipped. In no version of tarot is justice blinded. Every entity that's appeared in justice has their eyes open or is very, very much aware. This entity does not have her eyes open, but you know that she's using her internal mind, her internal eye, if you will, to see what's being done. When you see things a little bit off-center in the traditional tarot cards, it indicates that justice does pick a side, and that is the side of the light. You might have to look a little bit more closely at that particular card or that particular situation in order to see how the universe is working and favoring the light. But it's still something worth paying attention to, and I don't know that many people are in that mindset because their anxiety kind of prevents them from seeing it. And again, understand that if you just went to Thanksgiving and had some really difficult discussions with family, that's natural. But it's also calling you to come back to your grounded center. We have the Hierophant in reverse. The universe is not blessing. Spirits, ancestors, deities, the universe are not blessing what's going on with these justices at all. And also, I note that the universe, your ancestors, your deities, your guides, don't want you in a state of anxiety. They don't want you there. They are not leaving you alone. You might feel abandoned. That is not the case at all. Please hold on to your faith. Please keep the faith, if you will. Do not stray from your spiritual path. This is not the time to do that. You have got to hold on to your light. You have got to allow your light to shine at the very, very least for yourself, if not for anyone else, okay? You may have to protect your light from others because you don't want things being attracted to it, if you know what I'm saying, okay? Keep your peace to yourself. Find a way to ground yourself. It is absolutely necessary for you to go forward towards your best and your highest good. Okay? The universe is absolutely paying attention to everything that's going on here and is not blessing courses of action that lead towards darkness. The Hierophant, the guides, our ancestors, our deities, only bring us towards the light eventually. We do head towards progress. We do. It takes hard work. And sometimes it really, really sucks to see work being pulled up. It does. This is not in vain, okay? We have the world, and I was just looking at this particular entity on the box art. It drew my imagination. This is the end of an era, the end of a cycle, what we have coming up right here. The Great American Experiment is not completely over, and I'll say once again that I am in Texas, that I am in the United States, and that I'm reading from that particular perspective, okay? We have major arcana cards here. Once again, these are major, major events, overarching energies, overarching eras, if you will, that we're coming to the end of an era where justice reigns to a certain degree. We are coming to the end of law and order, or the old law and order, and we're coming into a new, more chaotic era, is what I'm feeling. With the Justice and the Hierophant in reverse, this tendency towards darkness is not blessed, as you would imagine, okay? We're coming into a dark era, nonetheless. Something is about to end, and something is about to start. I suspect that once the Electoral College votes are certified, again on January 6th, that you'll kind of start to see things shift as far as the universe is concerned. Start to, perhaps, okay? And it might also take a while for that train to start to affect you on a personal level. And when I say that train, I mean that train of events, okay? The end of an era and the start of a new one. This is going to be rough. It will not be easy. It is still worth going towards. So the World card landed on top of the Eight of Cups. This is about personal advancement, you personally. While the end of an era for the United States is rapidly approaching, surely approaching is what I'm hearing, you can do something to separate yourself even from people that you thought were friends and allies. If they are no longer serving you, it's time to leave them behind. This is going to encourage you to up-level yourself. It's not going to force you. Not that I see yet, okay? It's going to encourage you. You can decide for yourself whether you're going to sink into the darkness or if you're going to allow the universe to lift you up and reach your best and your highest good. And I'm speaking to myself as much. It's hard to not just say, what the fuck ever. Right? I get it. We have the Page of Pentacles here. We're about to get some really, really specific messaging around these injustices. I don't know that these reports are going to hit the mainstream news, and I don't know that they're going to hit like mainstream news outlets, like on social media, for instance. So there might be some individuals that talk about it, but I don't know how much traction that's going to get. And I'm wondering if the universe isn't choosing to conceal some of that from some people, just because if that news of those injustices reached the right ears at the wrong time, then we might not be able to enjoy the blessings that the universe wants so badly to give us. There may be a reason why the news around these particular injustices is so localized and doesn't seem to gain any traction. Not many people seem to pay attention to this news, but it's something to pay attention to nonetheless, because major injustices are happening here. Don't beat yourself up if you don't hear about something and you're like, if I had known about this, I would have done something. That might be exactly what the universe wants to prevent, is you doing something. Because doing something may fuck up a line of a progression of events that the universe has to have happen in order for the light to make progress. We have the Empress here. Instead of worrying and being in a worry mindset, the universe is asking us to step into our energy as the Empress. And that means everybody. It doesn't matter what your gender identity may be. There is no gender in tarot. But this is about letting our creative selves flow. It's about getting into our more chaotic sides, our chaotic creative sides. It's about listening to our intuition very, very deeply, paying attention to our emotions and where they're coming from, but also absolutely not taking any shit. This is about staying grounded in spite of our anxieties. The universe does not want us in the energy of our anxieties. It wants us to view everything with a degree of gravity, if you will, and to pay close attention to the messages that are coming through intuitively. Pay close attention to those messages because they are important. You're going to feel every inch of the shit that will be hitting the fan. If you can get into this energy, it is going to hurt. This is going to be more than uncomfortable. This is going to be deeply painful. The universe wants you to become this entity. Sensitive, caring, not over-emotional, not overwhelmed, doesn't just cut people down, but doesn't take any shit either. When these messages come in, be careful about how you receive them. Try to find your way to responding instead of reacting, if that makes sense. This is going to be difficult. Five of Pentacles. Whenever I think of the Five of Pentacles in the traditional sense, that's about the blind leading the blind. That's about someone saying, I know the way, but they're continuing to run circles around the warm and comfortable church that has some places for you to sleep, some stuff for you to eat ostensibly, okay? But right here, this is about choosing to ignore help, even though this particular figure has all kinds of ways to make their physical body comfortable. When our physical bodies are comfortable, we're able to think more effectively. We're able to feel more effectively and heal as well. But right here, she's not taking any of those pentacles, even though every single one of them are within reach, and three of them actually, are laying on her. She's ignoring them. Do not be in this energy once that news of deep injustices starts to come through. Avoid it as best as you possibly can. If you find yourself slipping, bring yourself back. Ground yourself. The Empress is all four queens from the four different tarot suites all together in one, and especially in the upright position. She's in balance with all four of those entities, those queen entities, okay? There is no gender in tarot. Everybody can come into their own Empress energy. It's going to look different for everybody. Everybody's going to express it differently. We have the Ten of Cups. It's about happily ever after, rejoicing, reaching the promised land, if you will. Interesting. So immediately after the 10 of Cups, I've got the 4 of Cups, and it's in reverse. Regretting what we used to have. There may be a part of you that says, God damn, as fucked up as as divisive as we became, whatever we had before was better than what we have now. Just a warning, okay? It might feel like whatever fights you might have had with family, whatever problems you might have had with the opposing political perspective, you might say, whatever that was back there, it was a whole lot better. It felt a whole lot better than what we have now. And Spirit wants to remind you that no, that wasn't the case at all. It wasn't better. Things broke apart because it was time for something new. It was time for something new to begin. We have the World card once again. Okay? That was on the second row of this particular spread. Things must end. The universe says enough is enough. It's time for the scales to tip, for one particular side to get their fill and then get burnt. That's the only way that some people are going to learn not to become deluded, not to believe what others tell them, not to rely on external factors to make them happy. We have the 7 of Cups, not seeing clearly. There was a clear choice at one point, and fuck, we missed it. Coming after the 4 of Cups. This isn't worth it. The juice is not worth the squeeze anymore. This divisiveness, this war against each other, family against family, brother against brother, so to speak, or I should say sibling against sibling. It's not worth it. What we had in the past was so much better is what I get. A lot of you might be saying once things really, really start to swing, once shit starts to hit the fan, the chips start to hit the table. Hindsight is 2020 with that 7 of Cups. God damn. I made the wrong choice. We made the wrong choice. Can we go back? And the answer will be no. It is not meant to go back. We need to move on to a new era. Pluto in Aquarius is going to be rough on the United States. At some point, I'd like to do not a reread for Pluto in Aquarius in the United States, but I do want to shift what I asked. Because in the previous Pluto in Aquarius video that I did for the United States, I asked about things like, what's family going to look like? What's religion going to look like? And typically in Pluto in Aquarius, those would be reasonable questions. Typically. Is there any such thing as a typical Pluto in Aquarius? Okay. Now that I've kind of gotten more information on what's coming up, I feel like that particular reading isn't quite obsolete, but it's incomplete. Okay, so I'm looking to possibly do that again, Spirit willing, okay? It's going to be deeply disempowering. It's going to feel deeply disempowering what we've got coming up right here. Deeply disempowering. This wasn't supposed to be this way. Sorry, this is on top. This wasn't supposed to be this way. And now what the fuck? And now what the fuck do we do? And that's indicating that in fact you do have the power within yourself at the very, very least to do something for you, for your chosen family, for your blood family, whatever the case may be. You do have a choice. You do have the power. You just don't feel that way. This might also be a warning to some others who may feel so inclined to use their abilities, to use their abilities to harm others, to quite possibly tear apart this particular family because it makes them feel good. And this might tie back into that Justice card in reverse. That this is, in fact, what the universe needs to see through to take us into a lighter era, or an era filled with more light. filled with more blessings for humanity. The universe may choose to use people who try to fuck up others' peace in order to welcome in a new era of light. And that does not mean that it will not be painful for you personally. That does not mean that it won't be painful for you to watch if it doesn't touch you personally yet, okay? I feel like this is going to affect everybody personally in some way or another, like even like hermits, hermit kind of people will feel it in some way. It's going to touch everybody, dude. That's kind of how Pluto and Aquarius works. We have the Two of Wands. Like I was saying earlier, we have a choice, and we might not see ourselves as powerful. In fact, we might see ourselves as powerless, and we might make some really rash and shitty choices as a result of that particular feeling of powerlessness. With the Magician in reverse, well, I should say, there we go. My camera shows me a little bit different of you. With the Magician in reverse, you are very powerful, you just don't feel that way. And Pluto and Aquarius might be amping up your power in a certain way because it's about the collective, not about the institutions like Pluto and Capricorn showed us. Okay? We have a choice to make, and it's upright. The choice hasn't been made yet. It's in the future. What are you personally going to choose to do? How are you going to choose to respond as opposed to reacting? We've got the Black Newman, and I almost said that earlier. I wondered if it wasn't going to come up in a reading. This is, once again, a manifestation of injustice, or justice, the Justice card in reverse. It's going to feel like this is hopeless. I can't defend this anymore. I can't hold on. I can't hold the door, okay? This is going to be rough. Make no mistake. I'm pulling from the other part of this particular spread. When you see how things were, how they used to be, in spite of how divisive and how shitty and vengeful this country has become against its own individuals, you're still going to say, what we had back there was better than what we have right here. I am drowning. We are drowning. There is no way out of this. The universe wants to remind you that it's not over. In spite of the fact that darkness is creeping towards these spiritual animals while they're trying to defend their altar, this isn't over yet. You see, if you put the card in reverse, that's when the light starts to come through for those spiritual guardians, okay? Right now it's in the upright position. Don't be deceived. This is not the end. The way to the light is through this particularly dark tunnel. You need to maintain your hold, your protective hold on those who are most vulnerable. You have to do this to cut down on the amount of injustices that you are most likely going to see. Please keep an eye on the most vulnerable amongst you. And if you are vulnerable, I pray that you can be with a physical community that takes care of you because they love you on a fundamental level. I mean that. The truth is cutting through. This is once again the start of a new way of thinking, a new way of speaking. If you are to come into your power as the Magician, it's going to mean that you need to think and speak a different way about the people, who you once thought of as family. You're going to need to think of the United States in a different way and speak about it in a different way. You may have had some degree of patriotism, or you may have had none. You may have been deeply apathetic towards the United States, and this is going to ask you to think and speak in a different way about it. Say it's over. Let it go. It's done. The entity in the Ten of Swords is dead. Let it go. It's time to move on. Choose, in fact, because the Two of Wands, lands on top of the Ten of Swords. Choose to let it go and move on into a new era. A lot of you, I can already feel it, and I'm going to throw myself into that category too, are really going to fight, kicking and screaming, against what the United States is about to turn into. And I'm going to say for some people, you absolutely should, so that you can say that you did. You may be able to say, we're most likely not going to win this battle, but we are doing this so that we can win the war. That's the most important part. You're going to have to decide which one's a battle and which one's something that leads to winning the war eventually. Watch out for the most vulnerable and say, the United States as we knew it is over. The wealth of the nation will be dispersed to those who don't deserve it. And keep in mind that justice records and watches everything, listens to everything, even the things that we think that someone may get away with. They don't at all. Not even, perhaps in this lifetime they appear to. They will not in other lifetimes. Some of the people who will be making decisions to create injustice in the United States will have karmic debt going into 500, 600, 700 years, centuries upon centuries. Ultimately, a soul is meant to relieve karmic debt and eventually end up in a place where they are no longer reincarnated because they have learned their lessons. They have fully ascended. And every soul has that opportunity in every single lifetime they go through. And sometimes it takes hundreds of lifetimes for somebody to get rid of all the karmic debt that they accumulated in one lifetime. Time to up-level. Time to change. Time to fundamentally change. Listen to what the universe is saying. Rise above this particular situation. Say, it's over for the United States as we knew it. That doesn't change what I'm going to do on my spiritual path. That's not going to change what I do to try to lead others onto a spiritual path towards their best and their highest good. Everybody can do this. It doesn't matter how an individual voted. Everybody can do this. But you have to choose to do it. Up-leveling, spiritually up-leveling. You can choose to start to lead a small local revival. If that makes any sense for you. Definitely for your physical group. Or at the very least, a very close group of online friends, okay? At the very, very least, if you can, try to help people see that this isn't over. Not by a long shot. You're being asked to look at everything that's going on and say the universe still has my back, still has our back, even if at the end of all of this, we become something different entirely. A choice was made in the past. Now we must suffer through the consequences and choose towards going towards our best and our highest good in spite of everything. And folks, a lot of people aren't going to do this. This is going to bring out the absolute worst in some people. And I do feel like those individuals will one day learn to regret it. Maybe not in this lifetime, but in the next lifetime, they will have karmic debt to pay off. Spirit is asking me to close out this reading. I appreciate you choosing to click on this video and listen. I appreciate if you came to the end of this. I appreciate you choosing to listen through hard stuff. I love y'all bunches. Take care, okay?